Right, we also have with us Mr. Goenka joining in with his word on the currency markets. He's of course a currency trader. Abhishek, 68.43. This wasn't expected in opening. What is it? What is the sense in the dealing rooms? Are we expecting to see any sort of intervention in the central bank because the fall is very sharp?
So I think slowly and steadily, if you see, the market is poised for slow depreciation. It had come all the way to 67.70 per day, and then from there it has moved up 70 paisa. So RBI normally comes and intervenes when there's a gap opening.
Now, which it is today, right, Abhishek?
Sorry?
I said which it is today. We've got a 0.3% gap up on the currency.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. So today there has been a gap. Now at the same time, we have to understand that every time RBI has been intervening at around 40 levels. But we all know the strength that is developing in the US dollar. And see, the emerging market currencies are taking a big beating, from Korean won to ringgit to Thai baht, etc. Plus China has taken a big beating in terms of stock markets, and the currency has been weakening to new lows every day. So I do not think that significant bout of interventions will keep the rupee very strong. I would rather stick my neck out on the rupee depreciation. So any dip, even though if there is intervention, is going to get bought. So if the rupee is able to sustain above 65, 50, 55, 68, 50, 55 levels, then possibly it could break the new low this time. So it could make a new low above 68, 80. So I think buy on dips for the US dollar is the key strategy. And importers need to be very cautious going forward.
You know, it's at 68.52 now. That's the kind of weakness you're seeing on the currency. It made an intraday low of 68.52. It's pulled back now to a 68.49 is what we are seeing. But if I had to ask you in terms of the fair value of the rupee, what does that stand at? Because at the end of the day, we will coincide, and that will of course come back to at a sort of acceptable level. What is the fair value of the local currency at current market pricing?
I think as per the rear, the number is close to 115, 116. So keeping into account the productivity factors, it is still there is still room to depreciate by around 7 to 8%. So as per the fair value in terms of rear. Now, of course, the local fundamental factors are deteriorating because of crude and CAD and slowdown in the debt inflows and equity inflows, which is adding further to the cap. So I guess I would not be surprised if we see further depreciation. The reversion to the mean, that is hitting the rear number at around 108 is possible. So I think with fundamental factors not going too good, I think rupee is not very good.
So in terms of the short-term sort of word on the dollar-rupee pair, I mean, technically we spoke to Jay Bala. He said 69 is a fair sort of level on the charts. Fundamentally, where do you think the rupee is headed, and at what point do you think this is going to start making the central bank uncomfortable?
No, I mean, of course, the central bank is still uncomfortable at 68.50. I mean, nobody wants a weaker currency, so weak currency in such a short time. But the point is the fundamentals, as I said, intervention, creates liquidity shortage, and you have to do OMOs to manage that, which is again an interest burden for the government. And with no interest in the debt markets, and 70%, the kind of money which used to come in the debt market, the money is no longer coming. So government is having problems there also to raise money through debt markets, and managing the 20 billion gap that is expected because of reduced FII or FDI. If you're looking at $70 billion kind of a cash number yearly, but with no inflows coming in, I think that is a big gap which can create a hole. So obviously the government is not comfortable, but at the same time the market forces are there, which is creating the rupee depreciating scenario. So I think, as I repeated, that if there is a significant move coming in gaps and all, government will intervene and pay the cost through MOs. But at the same time, if it's a slow depreciation, I don't think it will be leading to a lot of intervention by the RBI.
Right, thanks, Sir Abhishek. Good talking to you. We've also got this Bhaskar Pandey of HDFC Bank. Bhaskar, it's another weak start on the dollar-rupee pair. 68.53 is what we've hit. Come back to 68.49.